letting go is quite a challenge. And it depends what it means to us all. And I suppose what I could do is I could give you my experience of it. When I was in my room each morning meditating straight after the girls had died, after a little while I was able to bring the girls into my mind, and this was one stage of my life that I physically saw things, because I've told you, when I visualize, I don't see. In this particular case, I was seeing them. I was bringing them in. They were dressed in clothes that I recognized. They were saying things in their voice and in only the way they could say things. And you could say, of course, that this is hallucination or it's my imagination, and that's fine. But something was happening inside my mind, and it was really happening. So it was real to me. And I was quite enjoying some of the talk. Lexi's quite a character. She's a real wag. She played truant from school, and she did all sorts of things. And she really did. But she comes out with a real deep statements now and again, and she definitely said something like this to me. We're having fun up here. It's really okay. I know you're okay, but please tell Mum. Right? That was difficult for me because there was no way I could communicate to my former wife at that stage. But I did communicate through Andrew, because Andrew was back here then. And Andrew and I have had a very similar journey. What happened was that I wrote away to someone to get advice. And in getting advice, I asked questions like, why should 3 souls go at once? What was the reason for that? Why did they go? Because I was still feeling all sorts of guilty. And I wrote away to John Roger, in fact. And I got a letter back. And the letter back said, you need to let them go and let God. And for me, that was hard. Because what I did, I didn't understand what it was at that stage, but the only thing I could think about what it was I thought, maybe I've got to understand what letting them go is. Where have they gone? So I tried to formulate, I know, the other thing was that he didn't just say, let them go. You need to let them go and let God, otherwise you will impede their progress. That's what was written. And so for me, first of all, impeding their progress, I didn't totally understand. And I had a journey to understand what that meant. And it means that I understand now that when soul goes, it goes to what we call the astral level, and then the causal, then the mental, then the etheric, and then to the soul level. And each soul goes to a different level. But the souls won't go onwards until they've been let go. So you see, impede their progress to me meant that I was hanging on to them, therefore making them earthbound by bringing them into my mind and subconscious mind, like in a form of energy. And so I had to stop that. That was the point that was difficult. And I did stop that. I cried all day and spent all day in my room and let them go. And I haven't ever brought them in to me again in that form. But what I've done is I send them, as I'm sending them right now, my light and love. Right? You see, letting go doesn't mean to say that you forget about them. It doesn't mean to say that you put their photos away and you don't look at their books and that you don't look at their clothes or don't talk about them. In fact, what I really would encourage is talk about them as much as possible. Talk about the situation, look at their photos, go through the albums, and talk. And this is it's a wonderful process. And of course, with my younger children, they helped a lot, Lara and Ian, because Lara and Ian would talk about Jenny, Kirsty and Lexi as though they were right there, right then. They said, you'd ask them a question like, how many brothers and sisters do you have? And they'd say, oh, I've got 3 sisters and 2 brothers, or I've got 4 sisters and one brother. So, and they spoke about them in the present tense. And of course, this was a real help because what happened was that we were able to talk about them all the time and say, oh, remember the fun we had down there when we went camping and so-and-so, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this sort of thing. And so this is a very healthy thing to do. So I would encourage that. So you see, letting go is just sending them your love and light, not necessarily hanging on to them. They can be very much in your thoughts, but don't bring them right down into your thoughts from the point of view of saying things like, I need you, I want you, this sort of thing. Let them go onwards with their own existence. That's what worked for me.